The video game industry is going through a lot of problems right now. Companies are not listening to their customers, so they dump hundreds of millions of dollars into projects basically nobody is asking for, and then they flop, and then we see tons of layoffs. And this is just a cycle that is repeating time and time again right now. And we're finding out that EA is laying off hundreds of employees and they're scrapping tons of games. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I don't think that EA is like going under anytime soon, but I do think that they are one of the many companies right now that are facing major problems. And maybe if over the past couple of years they had been listening to their customers, they had been trying to create high quality products that people had been asking for, they wouldn't be in this situation. But I can't feel all that bad when they've disregarded us time and time again. So we're hearing a ton of new information. Respawn announcing mass layoffs, EA employees being laid off, and spin-offs being scrapped. So let's start off with this article. It says a new report alleges that EA is laying off between 300 and 400 employees and scrapping a Titanfall project, which is so sad to me because I loved Titanfall. I would love like a true Titanfall 3. And when it comes to Apex Legends, I've played it on and off since release. And I know a lot of people like it, but it's just gotten pretty stale. It feels like they kind of gave up on that game when the competitive scene fell apart last year, and it sucks to say, but I think that Titanfall is just dead at this point. I don't think that they're going to try to work with this franchise again. So it says a report from Jason Schreier at Bloomberg claims between 300 and 400 positions were eliminated, including around 100 at Respawn, according to a person familiar with the cuts. And he also noted that an extraction shooter set in the Titanfall world codenamed R7 was scrapped. So an EA spokesman, Justin Higgs, did confirm the layoffs by saying, as part of our continued focus on our long-term strategic priorities, we've made select changes within our organization that more efficiently aligns teams and allocates resources in service of driving future growth. So BS corporate speak, which isn't particularly shocking, but there is a lot to unpack here. First of all, hearing 500 people were let go is a lot to hear about at once. Now, is it shocking given the state of the industry? No. Tons of companies right now are going through layoffs. Tons of companies are canceling projects or ceasing development on ongoing games, and EA is just the next on the chopping block. But to hear that they had canceled an upcoming Titanfall world extraction shooter is kind of surprising, because we see a lot of companies that are still barreling forward with extraction shooters, like what's going on with Bungie and Marathon right now. They think that extraction shooters are the next battle royale. Now, we have seen quite a few successful ones come out in the past, like Escape from Tarkov, but I think that another big reason they're canceling this is just because they have no faith in Titanfall. They feel like they've milked this world for all that it's worth with Apex Legends, which sucks. It's like with Knights of the Old Republic and Star Wars The Old Republic. The KOTOR series, those first two games were absolutely phenomenal, and I love the Star Wars The Old Republic MMO. I've played so much of it. I was a competitive player for years and years. It's super fun, but that is the closest thing we're ever going to get to a Knights of the Old Republic 3. They've milked the Old Republic for all that it's worth, which sucks to say, but even I can recognize that, and I think that is exactly what is happening with Titanfall at this point. They felt the two games, did what they were going to do. Apex was kind of the world they threw together in the game they threw together at the height of Battle Royale, and when they thought that that was a long-term strategy, but now that Battle Royales are kind of over, they figure, you know what, we're not going to keep using this world, we might as well create something new, which is sad for Titanfall fans like myself, but ultimately not shocking. And we know that Respawn, an EA subsidiary, also confirmed the layoffs in a post to social media. The company revealed it was laying off people who work on Apex Legends and its Star Wars Jedi franchise, which, if you're still an Apex Legends player, I'm sure you're not going to be surprised to hear that it's kind of falling apart at this point. When the competitive scene really fell apart last year, we figured that the death of the game was on the horizon. Still makes them money, so they're not going to just shut down the servers one day, but it's definitely ramping down in popularity. And then when it comes to Star Wars Jedi, this is a little bit more surprising because we never got a confirmation about what they wanted to do with the third game, but the first two games did well. I mean, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order and Star Wars Jedi Survivor sold a combined 15 15 million copies, which is a lot of copies of games to sell. So you'd think that they would want to keep a lot of people on that and be making the next game, but maybe we won't even get a third. It says, though, these layoffs come in the wake of layoffs at BioWare following the company's release of Dragon Age of Veilguard, which was a commercial failure. I know that they're basically trying to say that, oh, it has nothing to do with Dragon Age of Veilguard. Jeff Grubb had said the same exact thing. My lie detector has determined that that's a lie. I feel like that is a big problem that they are facing. They lost so much money on that game, and if they hadn't lost so much, or they had turned a profit, or at least made the game's freaking budget back, they would be more apt to keep a lot of more questionable, I suppose we'll say, projects around. Right now, they are just cutting off anything that they think might not make a profit, like Veilguard. They should have canceled Veilguard years ago, but it says at the end of January, BioWare General Manager Gary McKay announced the layoffs at the company. He said that given this stage of development, we don't require support from the full studio. We have incredible talent here at BioWare, and so we have worked diligently over the past few months to match many of our colleagues with other teams at EA that had open roles that were a strong fit. And these layoffs came in the wake of EA admitting that Veilguard failed to meet the company's expectations by around 50%. And they even tried to convince you that that was units sold when it isn't. It's players engaged. So we don't even know how many people actually swipe their credit card on this pile of trash. But there are a lot of layoffs going on within the broader industry. This is just a list of 2025, and it is not painting a very positive picture. And I do think that there are a plethora of problems. First of all, development times are way too long. Games are announced, and then it can take a decade for them to be created, which is just insane. People are not going to wait that long for you to continue a franchise they might have liked in the past. Only the biggest franchises end up using that to their benefit, like a Elder Scrolls 6 or a Grand Theft Auto 6, but those types of games are few and far between. Second of all, I do think that people are generally sick and tired of the bullshit that is actually in the games, the pandering that is in the games, the unfortunate identity politics that the activists within the industry are pushing into so many products. And then third of all, I just feel like with the rise in video game price points, and not even just a purchase price, a buy-in fee, but also things like microtransactions, it makes people want to purchase less products, and they're just a little bit more careful about the companies that they're supporting and the games that they are, supporting. So I just feel like we are going to continue to see this happen. I mean, 2024 was a very bad year when it came to video game layoffs. I don't think that 2025 is going to be any different, and it will be interesting to see what other companies are going to struggle over the next couple of months. But it's not looking good for EA. It's definitely not looking good for Respawn. And of course, we know that even subsidiaries like BioWare are going under. So I'll be keeping my eye on this to see if there's any other information. But this is definitely not the first nor the last set of layoffs we're going to hear within the gaming industry for 2025. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like. And if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.